It was 70 degrees 5 days ago. Now we've got an inch of snow. More to come. Gotta love springtime in the mountains. Hello friends and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky and today we are doing a quick car chat because I'm waiting on my groceries. It is snowing. It is snowing. We have about an inch of snow here. It is the end of March. I'm a little bummed. I know it's normal. Our last frost date is the first week in May, but still, I'm bummed. I'm ready for the warm weather. We had 70-degree weather last week, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about global climate change. I'm not talking about changing our planting seasons. Those are all good videos for another time. Today, I am talking about the fact that you need to stop dragging your feet. And if you haven't already started doing your food storage, today is the day. This is the sign. For those of you who are watching this, who are perhaps people who know me in real life, because I'll be posting this in some different places, today is the day, okay? Today is the day. Last week, President Biden said that we should be preparing for food shortages and that we should be already, those of us who have the means to, should be stocking up and making plans to do so. And if it's coming from the president, right, the politicians are going to be the last people to tell us there's a problem because they don't want panic. They don't want panic buying. They don't want hoarding. They don't want people freaking out. It doesn't behoove them. It doesn't help them get their goals. So because of that, if the president is saying something, it means that you're at the curve, right? You're at the curve, and if you drag your feet, you're going to be behind the curve. Now, what this means is that you should be planning for a couple of different things. The first one, we're going to have inflation, whether or not it's real inflation, whether or not it's government-controlled inflation, and whether or not it's companies who know that they can use the smokescreen of inflation to price gouge. There's a lot of things that are possible here, okay? But you need to start looking at what do you eat, okay? If you had to eat out of your pantry, what would that look like? And what do you have and what would you want? But, and this is where it's a little bit different than what a strict prepper mind would be, which is that you're gonna eat out of your pantry for 3 months or a year, whatever your plan is. I think what's gonna really be most beneficial is assuming there are some things at the store, but things are gonna be very expensive. Assuming that we're gonna have a loss of grains primarily, okay, wheat, corn, rice possibly, definitely anything that is in the feed industry, the things that can feed animals. Wheat comes out of Russia and Ukraine, right? Those are the two global producers of wheat. What would you need to get now so that you have access to those things? And what could you easily store that would help you supplement? Sorry, there was someone who parked right next to me. I hate that in grocery pickups. What could you get that could help you supplement your pantry? This is important because what's likely going to happen is that there's not going to be nothing at the shelves, okay? There's going to be food on shelves, but it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be mostly only things that we can get locally. And if you have access to a local farmer, farmer's market, co-op, whatever, get on their list now, okay? Because they'll probably put a cap on it if there's a run on trying to get their products. What can you grow, okay? And then what do you need that would actually help you supplement that has a good long shelf life? So if you're someone who has a family that loves oatmeal, go buy a 25-pound bag of oatmeal or 50-pound bag of oatmeal and get that ready and prepared to store. If you like the instant packets, how could you make those at home? How could you get all the ingredients to make those at home if those little packets aren't available, for example? If you're someone who really loves bread, your family eats a lot of bread at the store is going to become really expensive. So today is the day to start practicing it, getting in the skill habit of making bread all the time, or recognizing that you might not have it, right, one way or the other. If your family eats pancakes every single weekend, now is the time to get everything that you need to make pancakes if the stores are out for prolonged periods, or if the cost becomes astronomical and you can't afford it, all right? That's the thing to think about. Now is the time to get your 1 to 3 months of dedicated food storage. This is not stocking your pantry. This is dedicated food storage. And if you have questions about that, I've got a course, I've got videos. I'll put a bunch of links up in the description or in the cards, we'll see. But you'll find links, okay? And of course that you can ask me questions down in the comments or in the Facebook page or on Instagram. There's lots of ways to hang out with me. But it's time, okay? I have a lot of friends who have been not wanting to take it seriously because it's scary to admit that the world is not as stable as we want it to be. But friends, denial doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your family. It doesn't serve your communities. I don't want you to hoard. I don't want you to go spend $5,000 so that you have everything and someone else gets nothing. Okay, that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you to thoughtfully begin to plan out your pantry, thoughtfully to get food storage. Now, the second half of this, right, is that if there's a lot of hungry people around you, you are not safe. If we're talking purely selfishly, not altruistically, not from religious conviction, if there's a bunch of hungry people around you, you are less safe and secure. So talk to your food banks. Start talking about a long-term plan with your food banks. Start meeting your neighbors. And if you have an elderly neighbor, if you have a low-income neighbor that you know you can form a relationship with, start seeing how you can support them in a way that keeps them, giving them agency, right? Giving them agency for themselves, but also protecting you, okay? What that looks like in your context is going to be very specific and with your resources and your worldview, but you don't want to turn this into a class situation where only rich people have access to food, right? Like that, we don't want that. We don't want that for a lot of reasons. Finally, I think food storage is an easy in to emergency preparedness, but the other side of it that I really want you guys to all take seriously is that the world is not as stable as we want it to be. And I know that the hardest thing for me as an adult, I'm in my mid-30s, is that I really thought the world was a much more stable place. And the last 5 years have shown me that it's not a stable place. We can go from civilized democracies where people believe in the system to coups and mayhem, insurrection in weeks. There is nothing about what's happening in Ukraine or what's happening in Myanmar or what's happening in Congo or what's happening in all these other places, Bosnia, that we're not talking about, right? That can't happen in the United States or any Western, industrial, quote unquote, civilized democracy. It can happen here. Of course it can happen here. And we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our communities so that we are prepared to be responsive to whatever those situations look like, to whatever those situations are. All right? So start with your grains, start with the things that are going to be most likely to rise in price and become least likely to find. Again, that's going to be your flour, okay? Whole wheat flour doesn't store for very long, so don't bother with that unless you use it regularly. But white flour or wheat berries or any of that kind of stuff if you have a grinder, rice, corn, and we're not talking about sweet corn, we're talking about corn that can be made into popcorn or can be ground into cornmeal, okay, or just buy cornmeal. We're talking about legumes, so if you eat beans or lentils, get your dried legumes, start collecting those and storing those. Glass jars are just fine. Really clean, washed out juice bottles that you've cleaned and sanitized. You could even store them in those plastic juice bottles or soda pop bottles, whatever. Then start looking at other things. If you want to add freeze dried, if you have the money, if you want to start dehydrating or add dehydrated things, if you have the money for that, start adding an extra couple cans of soup, start adding an extra couple cans of, your favorite canned fruit if you eat that, those sorts of things to build up your supply. This is a short video, a short car talk. I could be here for 20 minutes, but my groceries are just about here. But the point of this video is that if you're someone who has been dragging your feet, who has been putting it off, do it now. Do it now. If our political voices are telling us there's going to be shortages and we need to start stocking food, it's almost too late to do it, right? They're going to be the last ones to tell us because they're invested in us not panicking. So now's the time not to panic, but to do. And if you have questions, of course, come and find me. I'll have links to other videos below. I'll try to do a series on setting up a 3-tiered pantry this week so that you have those ideas. If you have questions, of course, find me Instagram, Facebook, everything's down in the comments. And friends, if you found this video useful to you, if you found it that encouraging little kick in the pants you needed, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the all when you subscribe to the bell icon, and of course, share this with your family and friends who just need that little bit of encouragement. Until the next video, happy prepping.